When a man has made mistakes before marriage, the true test of his character comes not in what he has done in the past, but in how he chooses to handle his future. The wedding night is one of the most delicate, emotional, and sacred moments in a woman's life. It is the beginning of a new journey, a memory that will stay with her forever. And in that moment, she deserves nothing but honor, affection, and security. The biggest mistake a man can make is to allow his past experiences to shape how he looks at his wife on that night. The act of comparing her to anyone from the past is not only unjust but cruel, because it steals from her the right to feel cherished and unique. A woman enters marriage with purity and trust. She believes in the sanctity of that bond. She believes she is stepping into the most special chapter of her life. And she believes that you see her as your first and only. If you destroy that belief by measuring her against the ghosts of your past, you are not just breaking her heart. You are planting seeds of insecurity and pain that can haunt your relationship forever. Comparison is poison. It is silent, but it spreads quickly. You may think that it exists only in your mind, that she cannot see it, but women are more perceptive than you can imagine. A wife can sense when her husband is not fully present, when his touch carries hesitation, when his gaze seems distracted, when his silence feels heavy. Even if you never utter a word, the shadow of comparison will reflect in your actions. And once she feels it, she will begin to question her worth. She will wonder if she is enough for you, if she satisfies you, if she holds the place in your heart that she deserves. That doubt will hurt her more than any harsh word ever could. A woman gives her whole self on that night, body and soul. She does not come with past experiences to weigh you against. She comes with innocence and with dreams. She is not a performer, not an object to be tested, but a partner who trusts you enough to give herself completely. And if instead of cherishing that trust, you let your mind wander to memories of another, you are committing an act of betrayal without even speaking it aloud. You are violating her trust in the most personal way, because in her heart, she thought she was your first. She thought she was your only. When you take that away from her with your hidden comparisons, you scar her ability to see herself as special in your eyes. Understand this. A wife does not need grand gestures or fancy promises to feel loved. She needs assurance that in your heart, she is irreplaceable. She needs to believe that you see her as your everything. But comparison makes her feel replaceable, like she is just another woman in a line of others who have come before her. That thought can destroy her self-esteem and her willingness to open her heart to you fully. Love thrives only where trust is strong, and trust dies the moment comparison enters. If you truly want to honor your wife, you must leave your past where it belongs in the past. You must bury those experiences so deeply that they never touch your marriage. Repent for what you have done, seek forgiveness from your Creator, but do not allow your wife to pay the price for sins she never committed. She did not choose your past. She only chose you for who you are now, and she deserves a man who can love her without letting old memories poison the present. On your wedding night, your role is not to measure, test, or judge her. Your role is to reassure her, to make her feel safe, to let her know that she is your first choice and your final choice. Look at her as if she is the only woman who matters, because in truth, once you are married, she should be the only one who matters. If you treat her with respect, if you protect her emotions, if you make her feel like she is your beginning and your end, you will not only win her heart, you will win her trust forever. Comparison is a sign of weakness, but choosing to let go of the past and give your wife the gift of being your only is the true sign of strength. That is what builds a strong marriage. That is what makes your wedding night sacred, not just for you, but for her as well. And that is what ensures that when she looks into your eyes, she does not see hesitation or shadows, but love, loyalty, and devotion that is hers alone. Do you want me to continue and expand key point 2 into 700 words in the same Sadia Kham style as well? You said, key point 2 expand into 700 words without heading. ChatGPT said the wedding night is often imagined as a moment of physical closeness. But in reality, it is much deeper than that. It is a moment where two souls begin to understand each other, where a woman gives her heart and trust with innocence, and where a man has the responsibility to protect not only her body but also her emotions. When a wife enters that room, she is filled with a mix of nervousness, excitement, and hope. Her heart is delicate, and the way her husband treats her on that night can leave a permanent mark on her memory. If he makes her feel safe, valued, and loved, she will carry that feeling with her throughout the marriage. But if he hurts her emotions, makes her feel unwanted, or fails to honor her vulnerability, the wound may remain open for years. A woman's heart is like glass. It shines brightly when handled with care, but it can shatter instantly if treated harshly. The wedding night is not the time for a man to show coldness, impatience, or disinterest. It is not about rushing into physical acts without understanding the emotional needs of the woman who has just left behind her family, her comfort zone, and her old life to become his wife. She needs tenderness, reassurance, and kindness. She needs to feel that she is not just stepping into a house, but into a safe space where her emotions will be respected. Too often, men underestimate the emotional weight a woman carries into marriage. She has left her parents, her siblings, and her entire world behind to trust one man with her future. She is not only shy, but also vulnerable. At that moment, if her husband treats her with warmth and care, she feels secure and happy. But if he shows signs of comparison, disinterest, or carelessness, she begins to question her place in his life. That one night can either strengthen her bond with her husband or plant seeds of insecurity and doubt that may take years to undo. Protecting her heart means understanding that intimacy is not just physical. A gentle word, a soft gesture, or a patient silence can mean more than anything else. A wife needs to know that her husband values her beyond her physical body, that he sees her worth in her presence, her personality, and her soul. She needs to feel that she is loved not because of what she offers, but because of who she is. When a husband focuses only on the physical side, he reduces that sacred moment to something ordinary. But when he protects her emotions and reassures her heart, he turns it into a memory she will treasure for life. A man must also remember that his behavior on that night will set the tone for the marriage. If he is gentle, loving, and respectful, his wife will trust him and open herself emotionally. She will know that she can depend on him for comfort and protection. But if he is careless, dismissive, or makes her feel judged, she will close herself emotionally, even if she continues the marriage outwardly. Once a woman's heart feels unsafe, it takes great effort to rebuild that trust. Protecting her emotions is not about grand speeches or rehearsed promises. It is about being present in the moment, making her feel special, and removing any fear or doubt from her mind. It is about showing her that she is enough, that she is not being compared, and that she is the only one who matters. A woman will never forget how her husband made her feel in her most vulnerable moments. If he makes her feel cherished, she will devote herself to him with love and loyalty. But if he wounds her emotions, she may continue to live with him, yet a silent wall will grow in her heart. The wedding night should be a beginning of trust, not a test of performance. A husband who understands this protects his wife's emotions by treating her with dignity, patience, and compassion. He should remember that love is not about rushing, but about making the other person feel secure. A wife who feels emotionally safe will give her husband not just her body, but her soul, her loyalty, and her deepest love. A man's strength is not in how he dominates that moment, but in how gently he can handle the delicate emotions of his wife. If he can protect her heart, he has already won her forever. That protection will form the foundation of their marriage, and she will always look back on that night as the moment she knew her husband would never let her down. Do you want me to expand key point 3 into 700 words in the same emotional style now? You said key point 3 expand into 700 words without heading, ChatGPT said. When a man has made mistakes before marriage, the biggest act of wisdom is to leave those mistakes behind and never drag them into his new life. A marriage is supposed to be a new beginning, a chance to build a relationship on trust, respect, and love. But when a husband allows his past sins to walk into the sacred space of his marriage, he contaminates the purity of that bond. The past, if not buried, becomes a ghost that stands between husband and wife, silently breaking the closeness that could have blossomed between them. If a man truly values his marriage, he must learn to draw a line and bury his history where it belongs. In the past, never to be mentioned, never to be relived, never to be allowed to poison the present. Leaving the past behind is not about pretending it never happened. It is about acknowledging the mistake, seeking forgiveness, and making a conscious decision not to let it define the future. A man who carries his sins into his marriage not only harms himself, but also punishes his wife, who has no part in that past. She enters the marriage with a pure heart, ready to give her best, trusting her husband to do the same. If he allows memories of other women or other experiences to cloud his view of her, he robs her of the right to feel special and chosen. Every woman deserves to feel like she is the only one who matters in her husband's life. That assurance cannot exist if the husband's mind is trapped in old experiences. Repentance is powerful. When a man sincerely turns to his Creator and seeks forgiveness, he is given a chance to start over. Carrying guilt into marriage only creates hidden frustration, but leaving the past behind allows him to step into his new life with a clean heart. A wife does not need to know every mistake her husband made before. In fact, sometimes telling her creates unnecessary pain. What she needs is to feel that she is his present and his future. She needs to feel that his heart is free of shadows, that his love for her is not shared with ghosts of the past. The wedding night is often seen as the ultimate symbol of a new beginning. But if the man carries memories of past experiences, it becomes a repetition of history instead of a fresh start. That is why burying the past is so important. It is not only about protecting the wife's emotions, but also about giving the marriage a fair chance. A relationship can never flourish if it is constantly being compared with what came before. When a man chooses to let go, he is choosing his wife as his only reality. He is choosing loyalty, respect, and a future that is not tainted by what has already been done. A wise husband understands that his wife did not marry his past, she married his present and his future. She is not responsible for what he did before, nor should she be made to feel inadequate because of it. If he drags his past into the marriage, he will make her feel like she is competing with people who are not even in her life. This invisible competition destroys confidence and love. But if he leaves his past behind, she will feel secure knowing that she is enough for him, that she is the only one he sees, and that she is the only one he chooses to build his life with. Letting go of the past also protects the sanctity of the marriage bed. Intimacy is not just about the body, it is about the heart and soul. If the heart is filled with old memories, the intimacy loses its purity. But if the man enters that bond with a heart free of comparison, the intimacy becomes sacred, honest, and fulfilling. It becomes an expression of love and loyalty, not a reflection of sins or mistakes. A man must remind himself that the past cannot be changed, but the future can. His wife deserves to be loved without the shadow of another woman in his mind. She deserves to feel like she is the first, even if she is not. She deserves to feel like she is the only one. And in truth, once marriage begins, she should be the only one. Leaving the past behind is not just an act of respect for her, but an act of respect for the marriage itself. Every time a husband chooses not to bring up his past, every time he chooses to silence a memory instead of reliving it, he is building a stronger wall around his marriage. He is protecting it from cracks that comparison and regret could create. And every time he looks at his wife with fresh eyes, treating her as his first and his last, he is giving her the gift of security that no other gesture can replace. The past is a burden, but only if you carry it. Once you lay it down, once you repent, once you choose to leave it buried, you are free to live fully in the present. And when you live in the present, your wife becomes your only reality, your only focus, your only partner in this sacred journey. That is what makes a marriage strong, and that is what makes a wife feel cherished beyond measure. Shall I continue and expand key point to 700 words in the same deep, emotional Sadia Kham style? You said key point 4a, expend into 700 words without heading. ChatGPT said, marriage is not just about two people living under the same roof. It is about two souls building a life together with trust, respect, and love. When a man enters into marriage, especially if he has had a past, he must understand that his wife is not just another chapter, but the beginning of a whole new book. Building a future of trust and respect is not optional. It is the foundation upon which everything else rests. Without trust, love becomes weak. Without respect, the relationship becomes hollow. A wife needs to feel that she is honored, that she is valued, that she is not standing in the shadow of anyone who came before her. Her heart can only open fully when she knows that her husband is not carrying yesterday's ghosts into today's life. Respect is not only about polite words or kind gestures. It is about showing her through actions that she is the only one. When a man decides to give his wife the place of priority, when he treats her as his equal partner, when he makes her feel cherished, he builds a strong bond that can withstand the storms of life. But if he makes her feel compared, neglected, or secondary, he shakes the very roots of the marriage. Respect is what allows a woman to feel safe. It tells her that her emotions matter, her presence matters, and her role in the marriage is not replaceable. Trust is equally powerful. A woman trusts her husband with her future, her dignity, and her deepest vulnerabilities. That trust must never be broken. If a man lets his wife doubt whether she is truly enough for him, whether she holds his loyalty, then the marriage begins to weaken from within. Trust is not built through grand promises, but through consistency. It is built when a husband chooses his wife again and again, not just in public, but in private, not just in words, but in thoughts. When he rejects the urge to compare, when he silences the whispers of the past, he is proving to her that she alone holds his heart. Building a future of trust and respect means leaving behind selfishness. It means realizing that marriage is no longer just about what he wants, but about what they both need together. A wife is not there to live in the shadow of her husband's mistakes. She is there to walk beside him, to share his journey, to support and be supported. When a man honors that role, When he allows her to feel secure in her position as his wife, she gives back more love and loyalty than he could ever imagine. A respected wife is a devoted wife. A trusted wife is a loving wife. And both of these gifts are built by the way a husband chooses to treat her. Respect also shows in the little things. It is in the way he listens when she speaks, the way he values her feelings, the way he appreciates her sacrifices. Trust is shown in the way he protects her from harm, the way he stands by her in difficulties, the way he guards her dignity in front of others. A marriage built on these values does not shake easily because it is not shallow. It is deep, rooted in understanding and capable of surviving trials. A man who wants to build a future with his wife must understand that his past is irrelevant compared to the life they can create together. The only thing that matters is the trust he chooses to give her and the respect he chooses to show her. Every time he honors her instead of comparing her, he adds another brick to the fortress of their marriage. Every time he chooses loyalty over memories, he strengthens the bond between them. And every time he makes her feel valued, he is writing a story of love that will last. A wife does not forget how her husband made her feel. If he made her feel small, insecure, or replaceable, she will carry that wound silently. But if he made her feel like she was his queen, his first and last, his chosen one, she will give him a lifetime of devotion. Building a future of trust and respect is not about one night or one gesture. It is about a continuous effort to honor the sacred bond. A man must live every day of his marriage with the awareness that his wife's heart is in his care. If he handles it with love, loyalty, and respect, he will never lose it. A marriage thrives when both partners feel safe and valued, but it is the husband's responsibility to set the tone. If he begins with respect, the wife will mirror it with love. If he offers trust, she will respond with loyalty. Together, they can build a life that is not haunted by the past, but illuminated by the strength of their bond. That is how a true marriage is built, not on mistakes, not on comparisons, but on trust that grows every day and respect that never fades.